Thank you for listening. This course was created to help you succeed in your educational journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional podcasts, books, newsletters, and cool merchandise await. Let's get started. Artificial intelligence in finance is transforming how markets operate, how individuals access credit, and how institutions manage risk. From algorithmic trading to fraud detection, models are becoming deeply embedded in the daily functioning of global financial systems. Yet the stakes are unusually high. Errors or biases in these systems can destabilize markets, deny individuals fair access to loans, or expose vast sums to fraud. Regulatory scrutiny is intense, as governments and financial authorities recognize the profound impact that even small model failures can have. Trust and fairness are therefore central to adoption. If customers believe AI-driven credit scores are discriminatory, or if markets are rattled by opaque automated trades, confidence in the financial system as a whole can erode. Responsible AI practices, transparency, fairness, accountability, and oversight are thus not abstract ideals in finance, but critical conditions for long-term stability and public trust. The risks unique to finance set this sector apart from others where AI is being deployed. Discriminatory outcomes in credit scoring, for example, can systematically disadvantage already marginalized groups, cutting them off from opportunities to build wealth or access housing. In trading, flawed models can ripple outward into systemic instability, causing cascading losses or flash crashes. Financial systems are also prime targets for security threats, as the high value of data and transactions attracts sophisticated attackers. On top of these challenges lies a complex regulatory environment, with overlapping national and international rules designed to protect consumers and maintain stability. For firms, this means the margin for error is thin. AI adoption in finance requires not only technical competence, but also an unwavering focus on compliance, equity, and resilience. The intersection of innovation and oversight is sharper here than in almost any other field. Credit scoring is one of the most visible and consequential uses of AI in finance. Lenders increasingly rely on machine learning models to assess the likelihood that applicants will repay loans. While this can improve efficiency and extend credit to some underserved populations, it also introduces risks of bias. Historical financial data often reflects unequal treatment of certain groups, and without careful correction, I can reproduce those inequalities. For instance, proxies like zip codes may unintentionally penalize communities of color if correlated with socioeconomic disadvantage. Transparency in scoring logic is therefore essential, allowing regulators, advocacy groups, and consumers to understand why decisions were made. Compliance with equal opportunity laws demands that systems be demonstrably non-discriminatory. Done well, AI credit models can broaden access to financial opportunity. Done poorly, they entrench inequality under the guise of objectivity. Fraud detection systems represent another major area where artificial intelligence is reshaping finance. These systems sift through millions of transactions in real time, looking for anomalies that might indicate fraud. The strength of AI lies in its ability to detect subtle patterns beyond human capacity, but it must strike a delicate balance. Too many false positives inconvenience legitimate customers and erode trust, while missed fraud can result in catastrophic losses. The challenge is compounded by the adaptive nature of fraudsters who continually refine their tactics. Continuous retraining and adaptation are therefore necessary. Privacy also comes into play, as fraud detection often involves extensive monitoring of customer behavior. Institutions must ensure that detection systems remain aligned with privacy obligations, maintaining both security and customer confidence. When calibrated carefully, AI-powered fraud detection becomes a powerful ally in safeguarding financial integrity. Algorithmic trading has perhaps the most dramatic consequences when AI is applied recklessly. These systems use machine learning to analyze market data and automatically execute trades at high speed, seeking to capitalize on patterns or trends. While profitable, they can create systemic vulnerabilities. A poorly tuned algorithm can trigger rapid sell-offs or feedback loops, causing sudden market volatility. The infamous flash crash events highlight how cascading risks can spread far beyond a single institution. Oversight and guardrails are therefore essential, with regulators paying close attention to how these systems are designed and monitored. Firms must build in safeguards, such as circuit breakers or human-in-the-loop controls, to prevent runaway trades. Algorithmic trading demonstrates both the power and the peril of financial AI. It can amplify efficiency and liquidity, but without responsibility, it can also destabilize entire markets in seconds. Insurance underwriting is another domain increasingly shaped by AI. Models are used to assess risks, determine eligibility, and calculate premiums. This offers potential efficiency gains and greater precision, but it raises fairness concerns. If underwriting models inadvertently discriminate against certain demographic groups, they can reinforce inequalities in access to affordable coverage. Transparency in how premiums are calculated becomes crucial, particularly as customers demand clarity on why their rates differ from others. Regulators are already attentive, requiring firms to demonstrate compliance with non-discrimination standards. Beyond fairness, there is also a need for explainability so that customers understand and accept AI-driven decisions. Responsible underwriting practices can expand access and improve risk assessment, but without strong governance, they risk being seen as arbitrary or exploitative. The future of insurance depends on aligning these innovations with regulatory requirements and societal expectations of fairness. Data privacy and security stand at the core of financial artificial intelligence. Banks, insurers, and investment firms handle vast amounts of sensitive data, credit histories, transaction records, personal identifiers that are prime targets for cybercriminals. Protecting this information requires a layered approach, including encryption, strong access controls, and continuous monitoring for breaches. Equally important is governance of third-party providers, since many institutions rely on vendors or cloud services that introduce new points of vulnerability. Privacy regulations, such as the General Data Protection Regulation in Europe or the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act in the United States, impose strict obligations that must be respected when building and operating AI systems. Failure to safeguard this data does not only carry legal and financial penalties, it undermines the trust that is absolutely essential in finance. Responsible AI in this sector therefore begins with an unshakable commitment to data security and privacy. Fairness is another non-negotiable pillar for financial AI. Institutions are required to demonstrate that their systems do not discriminate against individuals on the basis of race, gender, or other protected characteristics. Metrics such as demographic parity or equalized odds are used to measure whether outcomes are equitable across different groups. Regular audits help ensure that fairness is not just a design aspiration but a monitored reality. Disclosure obligations to regulators further reinforce this requirement, creating formal accountability. Beyond compliance, fairness is also a matter of institutional reputation. Customers are unlikely to trust opaque systems that may quietly penalize certain communities. By building equity into their AI practices, financial institutions strengthen their legitimacy and reduce risks of litigation or reputational damage. Fairness is not a secondary concern. It is central to both ethical responsibility and long-term business success. Explainability plays a uniquely important role in finance. When a customer is denied a loan or offered a high insurance premium, they expect to know why. Regulatory frameworks such as the Equal Credit Opportunity Act in the United States require institutions to provide clear explanations for adverse decisions. Tools that enhance interpretability, such as feature importance scores or counterfactual examples, help bridge the gap between complex algorithms and human understanding. Communication must also be tailored to the customer, ensuring that explanations are not just technically accurate but also accessible and meaningful. For regulators and auditors, explainability ensures that models can be examined for compliance. For customers, it builds trust by affirming that decisions are not arbitrary. In finance, explainability is not an optional feature, it is a legal, ethical, and reputational necessity. Life cycle governance provides the scaffolding for responsible AI in financial institutions. This begins with risk reviews at the design stage, where potential harms and compliance requirements are identified early. Once deployed, systems must be continuously monitored to ensure they perform reliably under changing conditions. Documentation at each stage is critical, as regulators and auditors will require evidence that proper controls were in place. Clear accountability chains also matter, so that responsibility for oversight is not diffused or ignored. Without life cycle governance, institutions risk deploying models that drift into unsafe or discriminatory behavior. With it, they can demonstrate a culture of responsibility, balancing innovation with safeguards. Governance across the life cycle ensures that AI in finance is not treated as a one-time project, but as an evolving system requiring ongoing stewardship. The regulatory landscape in finance is dense and multifaceted. Consumer protection laws, such as the Truth in Lending Act or the Fair Credit Reporting Act, establish baseline rights for individuals affected by AI decisions. Anti-discrimination regulations exist globally, requiring systems to be evaluated for fairness. Financial conduct authorities in various jurisdictions, such as the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States or the Financial Conduct Authority in the United Kingdom, have issued guidance on how AI systems should be deployed responsibly. Anticipated future regulations are expected to be more AI-specific, reflecting the growing reliance on these technologies. Navigating this environment requires not only legal expertise, but also proactive collaboration with regulators. Institutions that treat compliance as an integral part of design, rather than an afterthought, are best positioned to adopt AI responsibly and sustainably. The ethical dimensions of AI in finance expand beyond what regulations require. At stake is fair access to credit, which many regard as a social good tied to opportunity and upward mobility. Institutions also have a duty to prevent systemic risks, recognizing that instability in financial markets can ripple into entire economies. Protecting customer autonomy means ensuring that individuals have meaningful choices and understand the implications of automated decisions. Transparency in decision-making affirms that institutions are committed not just to profit but also to responsibility and accountability. These ethical considerations echo those in healthcare, but they take on a distinct flavor in finance, where questions of fairness and stability can affect entire populations. Embracing ethics is not just about avoiding harm, it is about actively contributing to a financial system that is more inclusive, stable, and trustworthy. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Monitoring and audits form the backbone of accountability in financial artificial intelligence. Once systems are deployed, their performance cannot be taken for granted. Continuous evaluation ensures that models remain accurate, fair, and resilient under real-world conditions. Independent audits provide an additional safeguard, offering regulators and the public assurance that institutions are not marking their own homework. Stress testing under extreme scenarios, such as sudden market shifts or coordinated fraud attempts, helps identify vulnerabilities that might not appear under normal conditions. Transparency and disclosure to regulators is also crucial, ensuring that potential issues are surfaced before they escalate into crises. These practices transform monitoring from a defensive exercise into a proactive commitment to trustworthiness, reinforcing the integrity of both the institution and the broader financial system. Organizational responsibilities extend far beyond the technical deployment of AI. Institutions must assign clear accountability for financial AI systems, identifying who is responsible for their safe and compliant use. This includes providing resources for compliance teams, which play a vital role in ensuring that legal and ethical obligations are met. Documentation throughout the lifecycle must be maintained, not only to satisfy regulators but also to guide internal learning and improvement. Staff must also be trained to understand fairness and transparency requirements, so that responsible use is embedded into daily practice rather than treated as an abstract ideal. Organizational responsibility is about creating an institutional culture where safety, fairness, and compliance are non-negotiable. Without it, even well-designed models can falter when placed into complex financial ecosystems. Cross-functional collaboration is essential for the responsible adoption of AI in finance. Risk officers bring expertise in identifying vulnerabilities that could destabilize institutions or markets. Data scientists ensure that models are technically robust and adapt to evolving conditions. Compliance teams scrutinize processes to confirm alignment with regulations, while engineers maintain the infrastructure that keeps systems secure and reliable. Leadership plays a vital role in setting ethical priorities, balancing innovation with accountability. When these groups work together, AI systems are more likely to meet the high bar of performance, fairness, and transparency required in finance. When they operate in silos, gaps emerge that can leave institutions exposed to risk. Collaboration is not simply a best practice, it is a survival strategy in the complex high-stakes world of financial AI. Despite its promise, adoption of AI in finance is fraught with challenges. Legacy infrastructure often makes integration difficult, as older systems were not built to accommodate modern machine learning pipelines. The costs of governance, audits, and compliance add further strain, particularly for smaller institutions. Transparency requirements can also meet resistance from executives concerned about revealing proprietary models or competitive strategies. Beyond these internal barriers, global institutions face the added complexity of aligning with diverse regulatory standards across jurisdictions. These challenges may slow adoption, but they also highlight where responsible investment and cultural change are most needed. Overcoming them requires persistence, strategic planning, and often a willingness to prioritize long-term resilience over short-term gain. The barriers are significant, but they are not insurmountable for organizations committed to responsibility. Opportunities also abound in the responsible use of AI in finance. Institutions that adopt strong governance practices often find that they earn greater consumer trust, which in turn strengthens brand reputation. By reducing risks of litigation or regulatory fines, responsible AI also lowers the cost of compliance in the long run. Institutions that demonstrate fairness and transparency can achieve a competitive advantage, especially as customers and regulators increasingly reward these qualities. At the same time, aligning innovation with fairness opens new avenues for growth, as underserved populations may gain greater access to credit, insurance, or investment opportunities. Responsible adoption thus reframes governance not as a burden, but as a catalyst for resilience and innovation. In the high-stakes world of finance, responsibility and competitiveness often go hand in hand. Looking to the future, several directions for financial AI are emerging. Explainability tools will see broader adoption, making complex models more transparent to regulators and customers alike. Real-time fraud detection models are expected to expand, reflecting the need to respond quickly to increasingly sophisticated criminal tactics. Responsible credit scoring frameworks will grow, integrating fairness metrics as standard practice rather than optional add-ons. Sustainability is also beginning to influence financial AI as institutions incorporate environmental, social, and governance considerations into their models. These future directions point toward an industry that is not only technologically advanced, but also more accountable to the public and better aligned with societal values. The trajectory of financial AI is not just about faster algorithms but about smarter, more responsible systems. Cultural considerations are often overlooked but play a decisive role in how financial artificial intelligence is adopted and sustained. Many institutions have historically prioritized profit maximization, which can sometimes conflict with fairness or transparency. Embedding responsible AI requires a cultural shift, one that balances commercial goals with ethical obligations. Public demand for accountability in financial practices has been rising, particularly after global crises where opaque systems eroded trust. If customers perceive AI as another black box that disadvantages them, trust can collapse quickly. On the other hand, when responsibility is embedded into institutional culture, AI becomes a tool for rebuilding credibility and strengthening public confidence. The cultural dimension is therefore about more than compliance. It is about redefining success to include fairness, transparency, and long-term stability alongside profit. Practical takeaways from this discussion reinforce that finance AI operates under higher stakes than many other domains. Regulatory oversight is strong, and non-compliance carries severe penalties. Fairness, transparency, and security are essential, not optional, pillars for responsible deployment. Governance ensures resilience, reducing risks of instability and maintaining public trust. Institutions that treat responsible practices as core business strategy rather than regulatory box-checking often discover a competitive edge. They can innovate with confidence, knowing that their systems are designed to withstand both market shocks and regulatory scrutiny. In a sector where credibility is currency, responsible AI is not simply about doing the right thing. It is about building a foundation for sustainable success. Looking forward, financial institutions should prepare for more AI-specific regulations tailored to their industry. Governments and regulatory bodies are increasingly attentive to the distinctive risks that machine learning poses to financial stability and consumer rights. Stronger auditing requirements will likely become standard, emphasizing the need for independent validation of fairness, security, and reliability. Fairness metrics are expected to be more deeply integrated into both design and oversight, ensuring that discrimination risks are identified and corrected early. Broader adoption across institutions is also inevitable, as competitive pressures drive firms to incorporate AI tools. Those that plan ahead by embedding responsible practices will be better positioned to thrive under these emerging frameworks. The forward outlook is clear. Responsibility and compliance will be central features of financial AI's evolution. The key points across finance AI can be summarized by recognizing the breadth of its applications and the risks they carry. Credit scoring, fraud detection, algorithmic trading, and insurance all benefit from AI's efficiency, but they also expose individuals and markets to bias, instability, and security threats. Governance, transparency, and oversight are therefore indispensable, not only to satisfy regulators but to preserve trust in the financial system. Regulation itself is shaping the trajectory of adoption, creating guardrails that help institutions balance innovation with accountability. These key points provide a framework for understanding both the promise and the perils of financial AI, equipping practitioners to navigate this fast-moving field with a focus on responsibility. In conclusion, the adoption of artificial intelligence in finance represents both a tremendous opportunity and a profound responsibility. Institutions that embrace responsible practices through fairness, transparency, oversight, and governance are better equipped to mitigate risks while building customer trust. The challenges of bias, security, and market instability are real, but they can be addressed through thoughtful design, rigorous monitoring, and strong organizational culture. Ultimately, financial AI is not just about algorithms and profits. It is about sustaining the integrity of markets and ensuring equitable access to financial services. As we move forward, the next domain to explore is human resources and hiring systems, where questions of fairness, transparency, and accountability are equally pressing, though in very different ways. Thanks for tuning in to Bare Metal Cyber, your trusted source for cybersecurity educational materials, news, and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.